Hello good people, Earthbound Mystic, and I am here today with Star Consultants, coach, mentor, the Hatfish, Radical Improvements. How do I address you today?
Cam's good.
Cam.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're here with Cam. Cam is a lot of things, but most importantly, for the purposes of today's interview, Cam is an example of a guy who has transformed himself, has been on a journey, has done a lot of interesting things in his life, has done a lot of travel, has seen a lot of the world, and has done some very remarkable things in the time that he's been on this planet. And in so doing, transformed himself and has very amazingly helped many other men completely change themselves, get far, far better outcomes in their lives, and has absolutely world-class insights on dating, on style, and on the process of how to take a guy from perhaps a bit lost, perhaps not realising their potential and they're achieving, to being able to compete very, very favourably on the market today. I'm very blessed to be able to sit down with him today and ask him a bunch of questions. For me, our kind of paths intersected when I became interested in improving myself, interested in getting over my problem and bringing the best version of myself out into the world. So when I first started working with yourself and got some of your coaching, at that time in my life I'd not been on a date. I was obese, I was just riddled with doubt, insecurity, lots of anxiety.
Yeah, I remember how the first call, you're like half the size of that now.
Yeah, some of the things that really have really quite been incredible takeaways I'm deeply grateful for. More than anything, understanding that this is solvable and it can be done regardless of what your background is, where you come in the world. Even if you've had a horrific background like I did, it can be fixed. And you've now done that with me and many other people. But one of the things that is very fascinating to me is just how transformative style can be. First question I have for yourself, Cam, is was the younger Cam in your teenage years always someone who had that flair for style? Did you start off with an eye for it? Talk to us about your teenage years.
It's a resounding no, to be honest, in terms of like my teenage years. God, I've done comparisons before. I've gone back over specifically my like college, university style. It was pretty shocking. I didn't have any way, and I give this advice now, like you don't have a good way of judging your own appearance on your own. Like you really need feedback. You need guys to bounce feedback off, get ideas off. Guys who know what they're fucking talking about, what they're doing. Otherwise you're just like flailing around without any guidance. And that was me, in university especially. Like horrible coloured like shirts and trying to dress smart. Like my idea of dressing nice was like dressing like the classic like chinos and t-shirt kind of thing. Trying to dress super smart. Some really, really bad like options. God, I don't like thinking about it too much. I kind of slightly improved when I got out of university in college, but I was mostly working in like a suit out of London, so I wasn't particularly I was just kind of working in a suit, living out of a suit all the time. So yeah, not much. I'd say when I found Good Looking Loser, I had like a framework of how to understand, like, because that was the first time I got actual advice of someone who knows what they're fucking doing, and that's always useful. So yeah, so before Good Looking Loser, absolutely terrible and no idea what good style was, I would say.
It's the unknown that for a lot of people, for a lot of men, it wasn't that long ago where I was very much struggling, and it was the fact of not understanding how you can possibly navigate the maze, how you can possibly change your fate and have a game plan to move forward.
Yeah, you look back and you're like, why the fuck was I living like that? You know what I mean? It's like
tragic.
Yeah, and you can't be too harsh on your past self because like you
yeah.
just didn't have knowledge and stuff and that kind of. But like also I think like it was all around me. Like I should have been able to observe like what successful guys were doing like I do now, and it's like I don't know. I just didn't have you're right. I didn't have the eye. I didn't have. They talk about it in music, like picking up. You have to pick up an ear for like sounds, like how it, like that kind of plays. And it's the same for aesthetic stuff and style and like art. You have to have an eye for like what looks like broadly, like generically, the most aesthetic to the most people.
Why that's so interesting from you is the fact that you have figured your dating out to a very wonderful standard that any man on this earth would be extremely ecstatic about. Like, I can only aspire to be there, and I'll keep working. It's going to take time, but I'm very happy with where I am now. I'll always be happy with what I've achieved. It's amazing. But you know me, I'm a driven individual, and I want the best I can get.
Yeah, you'll get there.
I will.
100%.
Yeah. But what's really interesting about your journey is you weren't there. You didn't have that initial like instinct, that knack. You had to figure it out, which is what makes you a very excellent coach. You had to go through a process where you didn't understand it. You had to learn it. You had to develop the eye. You had some advice. You had some support. You were receptive to it. You made it work, and now you've been able to make it work with other people. But what I want to drill in on now is in that phase of your life where you were kind of where I was. You didn't understand this. Yeah. What was your dating life like then?
There was no dating life, man. Like, yeah, it was actually like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
I remember like, university was very much like simping. Like, I genuinely like, just like, I didn't know how, like, I thought just being nice to girls was the way forward. But like, it was bordering on like creepy, obsessive nice, as opposed to like, when they didn't respond, when they didn't like suddenly like want to date me or whatever, I would just be more aggressively like nice to them and stuff. It's really weird looking back, and like I also messed up. I think like a lot of there was two things. There was not getting interest from the girls I was interested in, and then getting interest from girls who I probably would have been okay with, like not the ones I was super interested in, but I got some interest because I'm tall and probably that's why, and then. That's the main thing I attribute it to. Like back then, like there are still guys at university who haven't really had like the height yet and stuff like that. So if you're taller, like 6'2" or whatever, you can kind of like get some interest from girls when they're like drunk or like randomly. And yeah, I was fucking terrified. Like I remember telling Andy specifically that I had I don't know, a fear of escalating, for example, or a fear of like getting physical with girls until I was like 22, like really late. So I had the combination of the girls I was actually chasing weren't interested, and I was kind of scared when girls made any sort of move on me. Not that it happened a lot, but on this, there are several occasions at university where girls made moves, and I basically ran away, like legitimately. A couple of them I turned down because I didn't like them, and there was a couple that I would have happily, like, if I had the courage, like, gone further with. So yeah, that's like one of the more unique problems I think I have compared to some guys is that I just was more terrified of like the situation than most guys would like to admit, I think, as well.
I can relate to that. That was somewhere I was as well. I do remember many examples where even in those years where I did not have my style on point and I did not have my appearance where I needed it, there was the occasional opportunity, but I managed to...
Yeah, you're in a club, there's alcohol flowing,
yeah.
I mean, everyone's like young, like yeah, and there's a lot of like awkward situations that occur, and like yeah, you can't always handle it if you don't have experience, I feel.
Precisely.
Yeah, I think guys need to get experience on their own terms to really have like control of the situations and like understand what to do. So yeah, I think that speaks a lot. Like I think if you don't have the positive experiences in the bank, like dealing with that situation can be like really overwhelming at times, unless you're just so drunk yourself that you don't like know what's going on. That's one of my friends lost his virginity, I think. It's like he got so drunk that he like almost got borderline sexually assaulted by this girl. I remember it happening as well, like a house party when we were like 16. Yeah, it's fun times.
It's fun times, man, but like now looking back, you can sort of understand it. You've got like a framework now, and you can kind of understand that if you've got some experience, you can kind of understand the language of the sexual marketplace and how to make these things happen. And for now, someone like yourself who's had proven, plenty of experience and is now like onto bigger and more ambitious ventures, right? It's part of your life, man. You're a top level man. You can do this, right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just want to confirm, by the way, that I'm not the only one drinking beer.
Ravi
has got a beer as well.
We're celebrating my 31st, right?
Happy birthday to Ravi, by the way.
Thank you, man. It's been a fantastic year. It really was the best year of my life. I did a lot of things in this year that I never thought I ever would do.
Yeah,
so,
I'm looking forward to on your channel. You like recap the year, or like maybe do like a 6-month update or something would be a good. I reckon.
Oh god, that's gonna be a hell of an update, right?
Yeah, man. And the people want to know, man. Like fucking tell everyone
I
what
will.
you're doing.
Yeah, I will. I definitely will, my man. So on that subject though of those memories and reflecting on close encounters and whatnot, what I want to really know and be very curious about is, right, for people who want more in life, who want to achieve more, see more, do more, like you went over all the world, you've done, branching into business and whatnot. for people who want more, typically it's the case that something happened that precipitated them to raise that question. Like, no, I want more now. I want to change myself to get over onto the other side. So
Yeah.
for you, you've mentioned it a little bit here and there. I'd like to know, what are some experiences that made you want more?
Yeah. I don't know, I never felt like I had like any control or handle on my dating life and on my sex life. It felt like it was that typical like getting lucky like situation. And yeah, specifically like when you're not in control and then something like traumatic or bad happens or whatever, and in my case it was just getting my like heart broken essentially by a girl I really liked who like ended it. That was the catalyst for like really sorting my life out, because I knew about Good Looking Loser for like years, and I had like 2 runs at it when I first started when I was like 21. I first started trying to do the AA program, and I managed like 6 months of like GLL style, and then I kind of went away from it, and then I was like lonely in London, came back, and yeah, that was when I had another go, and again it was like 6 months, and I just didn't it didn't stick. So I was doing the stuff that we kind of know works, but like I just didn't stick at it. You gotta have commitment, and I guess at some point you just go through so much fucking pain that like you're just like, I can't deal with this. Like I can't live this life anymore. It's either something really bad is gonna happen, or I'm gonna fucking force myself out of it. And like I've honestly never been suicidal or like someone who's like ever thought of like trying to find a way out. So it's like the only solution is like fucking make myself happy and make something of my life, which I'm very fortunate, because I know a lot of guys in the community have had like really bad moments. But for me, it was just like there was no other option. It was like I know the secrets because I've already experienced like Good Looking Loser stuff and Andy stuff before, and yeah, I got traumatized, I guess, and fucking flew to Andy and was like, yo, like I'm serious, let's fucking do this. And that's over 4 years ago now, something like that. It's like 3 years ago. It's quite a while ago now, but it was crazy, because that was just like spontaneous, like I know what I need to do, and I just went and did it. And yeah, I'd say if anyone's like on the edge like that, you just gotta like, take the fucking jump.
That's brilliant. So why that's really interesting to me is you had that catalyst. You had a very challenging experience of a breakup which was heartbreaking. And it happens to people, and it's tough, and it's a very challenging thing. Like I remember unrequited loves, I remember like crushes, which I simply was not in the position to kind of capitalize on, and how painful that was. And these were memories that would be with me for a while, and there was a lot that culminated. But for you, some of those kind of bitter experiences push you over the line, and it seems to be that there's a moment where you're like, okay, you've seen that it works. You've had your little encounters, you've pushed yourself and done 6 month stretches and whatnot, and eventually you're like, I'm going all the way in, and you go fly and see Andy, one of his very early clients. Yeah, and at that moment, you fully commit yourself. And the next question I have for you, when you went over to see Andy, I understand there is the curiously enough, people that you did an interview with Andy, which was really great, and I can link to that. So at that moment, your style still maybe wasn't as advanced.
Yeah, that wasn't good. The thing about style is like, if you stop paying attention, the world can move on without you kind of realizing a little bit as well. And like I used to follow Chris's advice. And then I think I was still following Chris's advice, like maybe 6 years too late or something like that. But I was also traveling, and like everything was broken, and like I didn't really have many clothes or much money for clothes. And then yeah, Andy was just like, yo, like what the fuck are you wearing? Like it was bad. He was a bit nicer than that, but like he was like, dude, you need to fucking switch your style. Like this is not okay. Like he was just like, this is not okay. No girl's gonna want to be seen with you with fucking holes in the teeth.
That's amazing.
Like, yeah, and like it was bad. No, good, but like it was brutal, and like so that was a catalyst for that moment, I guess, as well. Like you really just need someone to sit you down and like read you the fucking rights and just be like, hey, this and this needs to be fixed, or you will not get any results. Because like it's really interesting to like see someone who's not getting results and just know that they can only have to fix a few things. Like you can
That's
usually
how it
write a
is.
list.
That's how
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
Sometimes it takes a while because sometimes it's fat loss, and sometimes with it, if it's like serious weight loss, it can be like, oh, you need like you're gonna have to like accept like 6 to 12 months of like weight loss before you get too much. But sometimes it's just like, dude, you could fix this in 1 week, and you'd be like completely fine. Yeah.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. Yeah. Man, but so what I'd be really curious about is you go to Australia and there's some style tweaks that you need to make. There is developing competency and approach. That's something you embark on with Andy. He kind of coaches you through some approaches. He oversees that process, right? You're also going through the process of changing your style. You're also doing some photos with Andy, so there is in the background the domino, which would be knocked over, which would eventually lead to you having an outstanding online dating profile, which you now have.
Yeah, it was like it was a two-pronged approach because like usually you got to like I wanted to approach like so I went there basically primarily being like I want to do cold approach because at the time I was like online's useless, like I have no you have no reference for success in online dating. You automatically think it's bullshit and useless, and fuck me, you see that on the internet, like just like how terrible, like oh my god, online, like everyone's like online dating sucks, isn't it? Like the girls aren't worth meeting, all that stuff. And like so as someone with no,
it's a very good point that I need to listen to too.
Yeah, if you have no frame of reference for how good online can be when you have a good profile, then yeah, it's like you're gonna be like approach is the only way forward, like day game or nighttime is the only way forward. So I was in that frame of mind where I went down to Andy and I was like, hey, like I think the only way I can do this is by approaching. So yeah, we focused entirely on like that because that was the main thing I went to see him for. But then at the same time he was like, we're gonna fix her online. We can definitely fix her online. And obviously I didn't really believe him. Yeah. But then the pro photos came out so fucking good, and then he managed to make his magic with like my existing photos. So yeah, that was like a bonus. At the time, looking back, it's really weird because I mostly do online now because of how easy it is.
Dude, let's like, really drive this point home, man. That's a really fucking fascinating point that you made. Yeah. Right? What you've just said there is, like, guys aren't aware of how powerful online can be when it really hits.
Yeah, when
you've got it
made.
Right. Yeah, but dude, that's such an important point to like really flesh out, because some of us, like myself, like beginner, sort of red shirt year, right? And I've got lays, I've got dates, I've got all that, yeah, from nothing, right? But I still don't understand what it's like to have your profile. So I need to be very conscious.
But Ravi from 6 months ago doesn't understand you. Do you know what I mean?
He wasn't even getting a date.
Ravi from like November last year or whatever last year. Like if he met you and be like, and like his experience of online dating is completely different, yeah. Yeah. And like with Andy was like so sure, like it's fine because we kind of look like each other anyway, so he knew that like I would succeed on like online dating. Like I mean, if Andy's succeeding on online dating, you're going to succeed because you kind of look similar. Yeah, exactly. So like but at the same time, obviously I had approach, like we were doing approach as well. So yeah, like it was it's a really like I said, it's like a capitalistic time. You know what I mean? Like it was the whole like making me go out there, and then there was what happened, which is like So for the long story short, my third approach and my seventh approach, I had sex with both of them. So that was within the same week or whatever, and me and Andy were like jumping around like, what the fuck is going on? Like, because I think he waited like his 30th or something like that before he got laid, and like most guys will go like a few approaches at least. Like we're talking, some guys go like hundreds, you know, like okay,
several hundreds.
Like it's like you know what I mean. And so this was like really like stars aligning shit. And bearing in mind, I had no like frame for any level of success like that. Like I don't think I'd ever slept with I hadn't slept with two girls in the same like 3 months, let alone like the same week. You know what I mean? Like it's mad. That's incredible. So I was like, this is like a complete. It's crazy when you when you nail this or whatever, and you like go over a wall or whatever, like how quickly your mind will just like your frame of mind changes. So it will catch up with you eventually.
No, I think that's amazing, and what I want to now ask you about is what your process looked like. So. You go over, you are now all in, you're invested, you can't have any doubts at this moment. You've done your approaches, you've had success, you know this is now your life.
But there are still doubts, like doubts come up, but doubts come in like waves a little bit. Like, and you always what's important is you set new goals, and like you keep on improving. You got to keep increasing the goals. So if you don't get any doubts at all, I think that's too comfortable. I think you need to be in a stage where you're setting goals that give you a little bit of doubt. And if you don't have any doubts at all about your goals, they're probably not like aggressive or ambitious enough. So like you set the 10-layer goal, for example, because you thought that was super ambitious for a year.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah. So yeah, and you did 6 in 6 months. So it's like, you know, it's fine. Like it's fine.
Fucking gonna do it then.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. So like, yeah, your goals should be ambitious enough to give you doubts anyway. So, and you want to keep setting new goals. So yeah, you don't like break through a barrier and then just be like, all right, I'm retired from like life now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So my process, like, yeah, I mean, I got very quickly onto the idea of having like one main goal. Like I'm very big on this idea of like one main goal, hard focus on that one main goal. Don't really waver in terms of your energy from that. So yeah, that was always like what I believed in, and my process has always been built around like hardcore focus, pretty much on one thing at a time. Now I have certain things that are quite passive. So you want to build things up so they're habits and they're passive. So like your calories, your working out, to some extent like your financial life can become passive. My dating life has become fairly passive, like just kind of running Tinder in the background. So I focus actively on business right now.
Funnel gang.
Yeah, I focus actively on business, and any dating is very like I'm trying to spend less than 10% of my like time and energy towards dating. And in Mexico, that was what I was doing. I literally calculated like how much time can I afford to dating. Okay, no more than this per week. And like that's there. If you stick to the hardcore focus in one area, I think that works really well usually. Yeah. I know you're doing that as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what like. I mean, I needed some help with that. Like I remember there was a whole period of time on like the community, right, that you moderate and that you set up for men to improve their lives. There was a time where I was quite scattered, and then everyone fucking jumped on me.
Yeah, in the forums, if you're posting on the forums, the beauty is that we will dogpile you if we think you're doing something egregiously wrong, and like trying to like shift your dating life. Your dating dating generally, like if anyone's watching that like wants to improve their dating, it is like a full-time commitment when you first start. Yeah. Like you should have a phase where you're basically doing nothing else in your life at some point. Yeah. It's really important. Like it's realistically, what is the meaning of life? It's kind of like it's reproduce, isn't it? It's like this is a focus. There's no shallow reason for like not to. You know what I mean? It's not shallow. It's everything. Yeah, you want to get married and have kids.
Yes. So like I don't want to live off a car.
Yeah, and you're not going to do that without like actually learning how to date and like find someone. So it actually has a higher meaning for you specifically.
It's just too important to me.
Yeah, exactly. So like the idea that like having a dating phase is really important, and like I kind of argue with people who are like focus on business first and stuff like that. It's like no, just focus on like having one of the main basis of being a man sorted, and then you can move forward. Yeah. But yeah, it's a full-time commitment when you first like start like a serious manner.
Yeah, and you know, if you're serious about it, you make it work, man. Like I got a remote work contract. I changed my hours around. I moved here, right? I put in 3 hours a day doing cold approaching. I put in like 3 hours a day on the apps a day as much as possible, and that enabled me to get success. That enabled me to change myself in ways which I would have never ever done in 10 lifetimes because I fucking focused. I did what I could have done in 10 years in 6 months.
Yeah.
And that's how you get success, man. And that's something that I learned from yourself, Andy, and the community. And it's something I will carry with me for the rest of my days. You put entire focus on something and it gets destroyed. You achieve like that.
Yeah, fucking focus and destroy. That's a good way of summarising it.
Alright, man. So yeah, we've understood, like, you've been really clear about your process. It was fully focused, and you've been a fantastic insight for the people who are watching about how much focus it actually takes. Like, this is a really great takeaway from this interview, how much focus it actually takes. Keyword that Cam used, full-time effort. That's incredible. That's really important for me. And I wish people told me things like this, like when I was trying 10 years ago, right, when I didn't get the right help. So, right. Question I've got now for you. Looking back on your journey, so at this moment, you've been on a journey for a long time, you've accomplished a lot year after year, you've done some fucking incredible stuff that I would love. I'd be ecstatic if I did fucking 50% of it. So it's great, you should be very, very happy with that. I would be ecstatic, yeah. So thinking about that, what are some wins that stand out for you, if you want to share? Like some of the wins that like really meant a lot to you, man.
the cold approach days did really feel me at the time.
Yeah.
But like more than that, like after that, I like focused on like social circle and like nightlife stuff, and I had like real success in that area that was what I thought was basically impossible, because I was going out, so I was going out a lot, but I wasn't having like there was no interest in me, like I wasn't like having, like I didn't have any respect for my mates to some degree, because they didn't see me getting with any girls, and that's really like shallow way of looking at it, but like you want to be like, you want to have some social standing and like, get respect from your friends.
Yeah.
And like, so at the time I was like really hoping that like I'd be able to carry over my like day game success to night, because I spent most of my time going out in like Melbourne and stuff, and I really wanted to have success on that level. And yeah, I like one night I got like approached by 2 girls in front of my friends. I'd never been approached before at a nightlife thing. It was fucking mental.
Wow.
And like I attribute that to like my style switch up and my attitude changing and like the confidence from getting laid from day game and everything, like this perfect storm all like coming together basically. So yeah, that whole like 6 months after that was like a big win for me, like wins and wins, just like nightlife lays, social circle lays, which are way more to me gratifying than like online and day games, to be honest.
That's amazing.
Generally, like I've really enjoyed coaching and helping guys as well, and now, and Andy would say this as well, I think Andy probably did say this in your interview, like I get way more joy off of wins that I've helped other guys get than my own. Like that's genuine. Like I'm not trying to fucking sell. I don't even sell my consulting anymore at the moment. I'm working on something. But like, yeah, like, but guys, when you help a guy out and he responds to you, they're like, yeah, I had this like crazy like experience dating or whatever, and I coach in Andy's group, and like, yeah, that's way more gratifying than like the success you have yourself. Yeah, I'm sure Andy would say the same, to be honest.
Yeah, people like that, like I'm eternally grateful, as I've said to you and Andy before, like it was the most important thing for me in the whole world. It meant more to me to just not have something that like was keeping me up at night, that just bothered me, that was with me every second of the day. Now, when I look at my reflection in the mirror, I see, fucking, you're on your way to somewhere, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. What does a man have to do to maximise his potential on the sexual marketplace?
That's a big fucking question.
It is.
Okay, so don't avoid. There's some hard graft, yeah. Don't avoid that. So like your looks are going to be something of a hard graft. Like if you've got weight to lose, and everyone pretty much usually has weight to lose when they start. It doesn't matter how. Some guys are just skinny, but majority of guys are skinny, fat, or fat. So they're gonna have to lose that, get down to a lean muscle mass, and then, lean with muscle mass. Then fix your style, which I don't think takes too long. I said to guys, you can fix it in 2 weeks if you know the right things to do and right things to buy. Once you've done all that, there's like basic looks maxing stuff. That like we say, like get your teeth whitened, get a tan, focus on that kind of stuff, get a good haircut. Once you've done all that, like the physical side of things, you should have reached a certain level, like a level where you should be able to have some success. Once you've got all of that stuff dialed in, yeah. And it depends how long it's going to take. Like I remember when Chris was writing Good Looking Loser, he said like some guys are going to need like a year of weight loss, you know what I mean? Like 6 months of weight loss. So yeah, your expectations are going to be based more around how much work you need to do physically. And then from there on, it's just about getting experience, whether or not you want to like focus on game like some guys do, or whether or not you just want to jump. Like some guys are going to be natural, which is like myself, for example. I never really focused on game. I just kind of jumped in and figured it out, so did Andy. But there are guys I respect in the community who are guys who play game, like Pancake Mouse is a good example. Rags to Bitches, I don't want to say his real name, like he likes game. There's plenty of guys who are pro game and plenty of guys who are pro like just kind of experience wise. So yeah. And the other thing would be, if you have a bad approach anxiety, that tends to be a priority as well, like breaking that. And there's debates about whether or not you just want to like brute force it through the wall, or you want to do the approach anxiety program. So yeah, those tend to be the 3 biggest ones, like dealing with your looks, dealing with how you interact with girls, and if you need to, dealing with your anxiety.
So you touched on a really interesting point there. So one thing I want to touch on is, you said as a person goes through the process of focusing on dealing with their looks at the initial instance, which is losing weight, yeah, and getting some muscle, right, getting your style right, which you said can be done in 2 weeks, right?
That's with like help and like
of course, with help, with the right strategy, with the right approach, and help isn't like tailoring everything, checking everything, making sure everything's coordinated, making sure there's no weak links. It requires subject matter expertise. It requires a tailored approach. The guy has to understand what's going on. There's some work that needs to happen, but that can be streamlined to 2 weeks with the right help.
Yeah.
Right. So the right framework. Well, not really a follow-up question as such, but I just want to probe a bit deeper. Like, I started to get results just from doing those things. That started to get me results. So that has helped me, right, be on my way. I know it works now. So the thing then about it is, like, then there's the question of maximizing your potential, right? So then you can get into things like game. You can get into things like I don't know, leveraging other things that you might want to do, whether it's like a social circle sort of thing, whatever it might be, yeah. But for my own example though, there's still actually some weight to lose to fully max myself out there. There's gains I've still got, right? So when we're talking about like the basic fundamentals and how they can maximize, how can they can support you in maximizing your potential. The body fat question, that is, you get to a certain level, like what is that sort of level where there's no visible body fat?
Yeah, like someone wouldn't call you like chubby or overweight or whatever, but also it's your facial aesthetics a lot of the time. Like it's when you get down to a point where your face looks good enough, and that's like we always say looks is a threshold for a lot of girls, and once you're over the threshold for most girls, that's when you start seeing like really good results. So yeah, getting your face down, to like the leanness of your face down to a certain point, usually that's more important than your abs, to be honest. Like guys obsess over abs, but like you don't walk around with like a crop top on all the time. No. So like, yeah, you tend to figure out how lean someone is through their face and like stuff, unless you live in like a beach town or whatever. Yeah. I see what you mean about like maxing. Like the problem with maxing is you need to know like it's relative to the goals the guy has. So like, your goals is marriage and kids. Like maxing your possibility to get the best wife and the best situation there is going to be different to a guy who wants like 500 ladies. You know what I mean? Like extreme example. So and then there are guys who want specific girls. Like they want specific types of girls. Like I know your mate who likes all these bands. Like is going to like a specific different girl to me. Like you know what I mean? So that's the way it is. Yeah. So like, and that's when you get into like archetypes and stuff like that. It's a bit more complicated. But maxing is more. I think maxing to me is like how extreme is your goal and how like far do you want to go to achieve it. Like you're never gonna hit. Let's be honest. You're not gonna hit your max.
That's what I was kind of like.
Let's be honest.
I was interested about that.
No one's gonna hit that part. You can't be perfect.
That's right.
You're not realistically gonna hit your pure max in any situation. So like in my opinion, Usain Bolt could have run faster. Do you know what I mean? Like Usain Bolt could have got a faster world record. Yeah. He probably never hit his absolute max human potential. You know what I mean? And if that's like the highest level of a very specific thing.
2 hours more sleep that night.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah,
it could go on forever.
It's one of those things. So don't stress too much about whether or not you get max. I'd say look at your results more than looking at like some arbitrary like ruler measurement of where you're at in terms of your max potential.
And it is like an iterative process. Like looking at people like Andy, they went through an iterative process where they kept changing their profiles, they kept getting more professional shoots, they kept losing body fat. Like the results come, like I've proven they do come. And as I go through the process and as I lose more body fat, to take it back to the point about the face leanness, that is probably what drives me wanting to lose more weight, because I remember I've got pics on my phone from me at like 185 pounds like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And my face looks entirely different.
Yeah.
And I'm like 206 now, which is not too far.
Your face has changed a lot, yeah. Specifically like your cheekbones are like significantly more visible.
Yeah,
that's typically what you get.
An area here that didn't exist. There was just like not noticeable. There's no like tone or definition there. Right. So yeah, these are really, really great insights, right? And a lot of this, like, I've lived it, I've seen it. I understand it. It's a process, man, and like I'm cool with it. I'm in my red shirt year. It's like my first proper year, and I've done very well. And I understand that until I'm like have truly achieved my goals, right? And for me, the timeline for that is probably till I'm 35. 36,
the red shirt year article really spoke to you then. Yeah. Just to explain, sorry. Good Looking Loser had this thing where essentially when you go to a college football team, you are a red shirt in your junior year or something, or freshman, I don't know, you're American, you might know. As an Americans watching, you might know. But like, your red shirt year, nothing's expected of you. It's like almost anything you achieve is a bonus. So like if you're in your red shirt year, like you're basically feeling it out, like learning your skills, and that's kind of what the first year of like dating improvement is like. It's all about figuring out your strengths and like where you can leverage your best stuff. So yeah, this is your red shirt year. You're doing well.
And I'm very happy about that. Now, given red shirt years, and probably for you that would have been quite a while ago, right?
Saying I'm old.
No, wow, bro, I'm celebrating.
You're older than me, yeah.
So, celebrating like my 31st today, it's a fantastic time to be alive.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, but then the corollary of that is my question for you: what advice would you give the younger Cam? Take you back to like 17, 18.
Yeah, I've always felt younger me didn't take enough risks, I think, looking back, and like didn't back myself enough. It took me like traveling, yeah, was a big decision. But it took like, so my grandmother passed away when I was 24, and I had told her I want to go traveling like for years or whatever. And then I saw her in hospital when she was passing away, like it was a couple of days before. And I said to her like, and she was like, basically just told me to get the fuck out of the country and go travel. In like slightly nicer words than that. But she was like, you're not happy, like, because the job, she was really happy that I got the job that I was doing in the first place. So I didn't want to like disappoint her necessarily by like quitting and leaving. But she said like, yeah, you're not happy, go travel, you know. And so like I kind of promised a dying grandmother that I would go travel. So I would tell future me to not fucking wait for the universe to tell him to do shit, to go and do shit, like take more action towards what you want. Taking action's huge. Like I didn't take enough action. I was unaware of how much effort you need to put in as well. Like you need to put a lot more effort into life. I think people in general need to put a lot more effort into life than they are if they want to get like the extreme results. Like you just don't know what's required. A lot of people just don't know the level of effort that's required.
Yeah.
Like I'm building my business now. Like I will not stop working till like 2 a.m. sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I won't. Sleep's really important to me.
Yeah.
And I prioritize sleep. But like that work is now more important. Stuff like that. Like I haven't done all-nighters yet though. I'm not really a big fan of like that kind of stuff. But I will get up at 8 and go to sleep at 2. You know what I mean? And like that's my working hours pretty much, and never really stop. I don't have any don't really do like breaks or anything. You know?
I love that, man. That's a point that like really I learned that in life as well. Like what it actually takes, how much effort you have to put in is so far in beyond what I thought. Like I had no concept of what hard work looks like. I had no concept of what true effort looks like.
Yeah.
You get around people like Andy and yourself who went to extraordinary lengths. Like I remember you in my early days of trying to understand how the fuck am I going to make this work, and you were really clear, look dude, I didn't do anything apart from this. Right, this was my full-time job. I was just flying by the seat of my pants. This is what it was like. Then I lived the same process. I came here, like
yeah.
Right,
I spent I think, to be honest, I had like 10 grand in saving. I think I blew through it just so I didn't have to work to focus on dating. Yeah. I know Andy took out loans. He took out like a lot of loans in order to do just dating, like for 2 years. And like that is the commitment some guys need to like actually crack some of the stuff they wanted, you know what I mean?
Of course.
So like that's what it is, you know?
It is
like,
what it
there's
is.
a serious focus on, and a serious commitment and a serious investment in yourself to be honest, one, to be honest about what you want, and two, actually to fucking go after it. And those are the two things that are really important. It's like the honesty about like to yourself about what you want, and your actions you take.
You know, when it comes to being honest, right, I knew there's no way I'd be able to like, you know, look my child in the face and feel like a winner and be the best dad I can be if I hadn't accomplished something in my life and hadn't overcome the things that were so crippling to me.
Yeah.
I would have been I would be no person for them to look up to, right?
Yeah. I know you want to be able to look your wife in the eyes and be like, I chose you as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's a big thing for me. That's a really big thing for me.
That's huge.
It's not that like, you'll do. It's like, no. I built myself up to a level where you're the best fit for me. I know I'm the best fit for you, and we can do great things together. That's where I want to be, right? And I'll get there. And the effort is a lot. It's a lot, right? But is it the question of like, is it worth it? I had a chat with Andy about this. I would do it again, right? all of this was taken 100 times over, 1,000,000 times over with a smile on my face. You know, sometimes I think to myself, like, some of the experiences I've had were so incredible, right? I can take them to my grave. Like, some of them were so transcendental for me.
Yeah.
I think to myself, if I didn't do this, that never would have happened for me.
Yeah.
What could? And I could not get over that now.
That was my goal, which I hit, which was, like, if I died now, would I have had the dating life that I felt like I would have, like, until that point? Like, would I be happy with what I've done dating and sex wise? Because, like, it was such an obsession for me that it was like, okay, if I die tomorrow, have I had enough sex? I know that sounds really fucking like a baseline thing, but it's like, have I had the experiences that I wanted to have? And it was the same with travel. Like, have I had the travel experiences I wanted to have? Yes, there's still places I want to travel, but I've had the travel experiences I want to have. I've had the party experiences I wanted to have had. I've had the sex experiences I wanted to have had. You know, there are areas that I still want to improve on. Like, I want business and relationships, the two, where it's like, I'm not okay with dying right now, because there's areas of relationships and business that I really want to fucking achieve in. So that's like, yeah. But there's areas that I fucking like, yeah, fucking shoot me tomorrow, and I would tell like God that, yeah, it was a good one, mate.
It was a good run.
Yeah,
it was a beautiful run, man.
That was a good innings.
It was. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Alrighty. So, we are going to come to the final question now, Cam. Yeah.
Alright, I'll get up.
Which is, and we're going to bring it home. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Yeah. This is the employee's interview question. Have you interviewed someone with this question?
You better believe I have.
Oh my god.
I always ask this question.
Fucking Mr. Project Manager over here. Like, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
Yeah. I need to know if they're going to be a good synergistic fit.
Oh my god.
But for you, Cam, I'm genuinely curious.
Not in the UK. If I'm in the UK in 10 years' time, I've fucking failed, or I've like had some kind of brain problem, I don't know. Or I'm dead and buried here, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I actually care about, is that I'm not still living in this fucking country. I've always viewed myself as being like a natural relationship guy, but I've always held off because I know I got shit to accomplish and stuff. So potentially I will be in a long-term, probably monogamous relationship, and I know that runs counter to maybe what like some of my mentors are fucking teach.
Yeah.
But like I view that more as my style. That like, yeah, I don't know. It will be like someone I've picked having had a lot of options, you know what I mean? It's like different.
Precisely.
Yeah. As opposed to, would I be able to continue being like non-monogamous forever? It's like, probably not. Like, up to 35, like I think I would want to be more settled. Yeah, I wouldn't tell some people that to their face. I'm joking. No, I'm joking. Like, Andy knows. Andy told me, because he's like the most non-monogamous person ever.
Yeah.
And
And
like,
he's my coach.
and he told me like, you seem like you're more into like, you're gonna be in a relationship probably. I would definitely be working for myself or owning a business. Like,
Yeah.
I have an authority problem anyway. So yeah, I've had authority problems since I started working in corporate shit. So yeah, I just know that like, my parents own the business as well. My parents weren't ever employees. I didn't grow up with that like, that example of like employee parents. Like, they were always the boss and they were always like in charge of everything. So yeah, quite contrast there. My grandfather was in the army, which is like the exact opposite. Like, you know what I mean? Like the full on like respect for authority is like everything there. So it's interesting. Beyond that, yeah, like more settled, owning my own shit. Yeah, same as now.
Free, living life on
Free's good, yeah. Free's good, yeah. Liberty always, yeah.
And connected to what matters to you, as opposed to what, you know, an authority may.
Yeah, I hope I'll be hanging around even more like-minded people. You know what I mean? Who knows what relationships will be between now and 10 years time? You know?
Absolutely.
I don't really project that far forward. I'm not gonna lie. It's like questions that like throws me off because like I don't project that far forward. I'm very like, I like to be in the moment. The future's made up, and the past no longer exists. So it's like, you don't want to dwell too much on the past, and you don't want to worry too much about the future, because you know what I mean, they're both not real. You know, well, past is as a reality you can't change. You know what I mean? So yeah.
We control what's in our reach. We have a small influence, a circle of control. We do the best in that circle of control, and it tends to lead to quite incredible things happening, and we can manifest a lot. just in focusing on what we can control, what's within our grasp, what's within our sphere of influence.
And you believe in reincarnation, so you think you're going to
I believe in a process that we can manifest for the good, for the benefit of order, or for the benefit of chaos, and I want to contribute to the benefit of order and some good. And I feel like we can all sort of thank you for the contribution you've made to the lives of many men, for the community that you and Andy have set up, for the content that you've contributed, for the body of knowledge that you've created, amassed, and proven through so many guys at this stage. That we've all gone through a process, we've listened to your advice, we've listened to Andy, we've changed ourselves, we've changed our lives, we've done things we didn't think we could do, and now we are on our way to doing more interesting, more exceptional things. So when it comes to the legacy that you've got and where you'll be in 10 years, I think there'll be a lot of fantastic things to reflect on in terms of the contributions that you've had, and that's a thing that I'd like to thank you for personally, right? And I'm very grateful for your coaching and your help on my journey, and I know there's so many out there who are extremely grateful and who I always recommend and kind of put you over your way. So what we'll do, we'll wrap this one up, but before we do that, where can people find you? How can people learn more about your services so they can get the sort of changes that I've had? And
primarily Radical Improvements, the YouTube channel. I am not currently consulting, so yeah, all good timing, but like I'm building something, so announce it at some point, but it's not built yet, so I don't want to talk about stuff I haven't done yet. But yeah, I am mostly just on YouTube at the moment, and I'm always on the forum. Come killerintheloser.com/forums, join up, be part of the community. Yep. Keep watching his shit. And yeah, this is also on my channel. His channel's called Earthbound Mystic, and yeah, he posts street interviews, right?
Street interviews.
Yeah.
Street interviews.
Ravi's out there asking girls the questions we want to know the answers to.
Yeah, that's a good time, man. It's a good time. Well, thank you so much for your time, brother. Yeah, greatly appreciate it. It was a killer interview. It's wonderful to learn more about the man behind the brand and the man who makes the transformations happen. And just to wrap up then, Cam is a fascinating individual with a hell of a story and a hell of a tale, who's done some really incredible shit. So can thoroughly recommend him for any style advice that you have out there, any sort of things that you want to do in terms of maximizing your potential as a man and your impact on the sexual marketplace. Head over to his channel, head over to his resources, check him out, consult him thoroughly. And thank you very much for listening, folks. Earthbound Mystic, your personal base yogi. Concluding a fantastic interview with one of my mentors and coaches, Cam, Radical. And peace out for now. We're going to go celebrate my birthday.